Hello everybody, angelarts here, and welcome to Let's Play Would You Rather. So I tried to do something special for every major milestone that I have on my channel, and the last major milestone game that I played with you guys was the Kiss Kill Marry game. So a couple weeks ago I told you guys that for my 5,000 subscribers celebration, I would play a different game called Would You Rather, and many of you probably have heard or seen this game played before. Basically, the way that it's played is you guys offer to me two options, asking me would I rather do option A or would I rather do option B. And so I asked for submissions about a couple weeks ago, and a whole bunch of you have sent in your submissions, and I'm just going to try to go through every single one of them one at a time in order that they were, pretty much in the order that they were submitted, and try to answer them as honestly as I can. And maybe not only will it be fun, but maybe you guys will learn something more about me and I will learn something more about myself. It should be a very interesting exercise. So let's just go right to it, shall we? Let's start with John Nguyen. John Nguyen says, angelarts, would you rather live in Kate Marsh's life and situations or Chloe's? So Kate Marsh and Chloe, these are characters from one of my more recent Let's Plays, Life is Strange, for those of you who have heard of it or not heard of it. Kate Marsh is the girl who she gets bullied a lot, and she ends up, well, I don't want to give too much away, but without giving too much away, she's a girl that's been getting bullied a lot. And Chloe is more of the rebellious kind of teen, but she's been going through a lot of hardships as well, personal hardships, mostly because her father had died and her mom remarried to this guy that she's not really keen on, and you know, there's drama. So would I rather live in Kate Marsh's life and situations or Chloe's? So this is not this question is not about would I rather be like Chloe or be like Kate Marsh, because that's different. That's a totally different question. It's more of would you rather be in their situations. For that one, I'm going to say I would rather be in Kate's situations, it's not because I like Kate more than Chloe. I mean, that anyone who's seen my Let's Plays know that's true, but that's not the reason why I chose that. The reason why I chose that is because in real life, I have been through a lot of what Kate went through in terms of bullying. I was bullied a lot through middle school, and but somehow I managed to survive. Somehow I managed to get through it, and somehow I managed to get through it without getting overly depressed. And so I feel like I'm not that I'm used to it. Well, I guess maybe I was used to it, but I feel like because I was able to survive being bullied in real life, I would rather have that live in Kate's situation, because I feel like I know that I'm fairly confident that I would have been able to somehow survive. So I think it would have been a little bit easier for me to survive because I'm not as quiet as Kate is, and I tend to reach out to people, and I'm not afraid to ask for help, and I'm not afraid to... I guess that's the thing, is I ended up having a little bit of a tough skin, and I learned how to deal with bullies, and I would like to believe that I successfully navigated my way around them. So, good question. John Nguyen, would you rather have an indie game launch successfully or Max Caulfield's rewind power? I'm assuming John's asking if I made an indie game, if my launch would be successful, or if I could have Max Caulfield's rewind power. I'd rather have Max Caulfield's rewind power, because that's something that is far more, you know, fantastical. It's a lot more, like, it's less likely that would happen to anyone. So because of that, because of how fantastical in nature a rewind power would be, I'd rather have Max Caulfield's rewind power. Cleopatra25 asks, would you rather hang out with Max from Life is Strange or Jodie from Beyond Two Souls? Between Max and Jody, I like them both, but I feel like Jody and I have a lot more in common, or we have a lot more in common ground. I feel like I'd have a lot more interesting things to talk about with Jody. There's a lot of similarities between the two. Both of them can play the guitar very well, but Jody's a little bit closer to my age. Not that has anything to do with it, because I get along with, I'd like to believe, people of all ages. But I just feel like we have more. Yeah, I feel like Jody and I would have more common ground, more things that we could talk about. So that's the only reason why I would pick Jody over Max. Cocky Duck. Would you rather erase Dragon Age from existence or erase Mass Effect from existence? So this basically comes down to which one do I like better? Do I prefer Dragon Age or Mass Effect? So, in all honesty, I have a very deep soft spot for Dragon Age, and it has nothing to do with the fact that the most recent BioWare game that I played was Dragon Age Inquisition. It's just because Dragon Age, when I played Dragon Age Origins versus played the first Mass Effect game, I was a lot more hooked into Dragon Age Origins than I was with Mass Effect. Mass Effect, I didn't really become a fanboy of Mass Effect until the finale of Mass Effect 2. Once I got to that finale, then I was like, I love this series. With Origins, I instantly, right from the beginning of the game, I was like, this is a series I know I'm going to enjoy. And then Dragon Age 2 happened, and a lot of people don't like Dragon Age 2. I thought it was fine. There were a lot of things that, that were more of a pet peeve, I guess, that went through the game, but it wasn't enough for me to completely destroy the series for me. And then, of course, Dragon Age Inquisition came out, and I love Dragon Age Inquisition. So overall, if I had to choose between Dragon Age and Mass Effect, I'm going to choose Dragon Age. Dragon Age is the game, as far as the game is concerned, that's the one I prefer more. Or as a series, I prefer Dragon Age more. So I would choose, if I had to choose, I would choose to erase Mass Effect out of existence, because, sorry, all you Mass Effect lovers, but if you had to force me to pick one over the other, it's going to be Dragon Age. Kiss Lucky Jack. Would I rather kiss Lucky Jack 20 or Riz Grestar? Wow, you guys don't pull punches. This is a really dangerously loaded question. I'm wondering if Lucky Jack and Riz are watching this right now. So they asked me the question. I'm gonna have to answer. I'm gonna have to try to answer this as honestly as I can. Lucky Jack 20 or Riz Grestar? First of all, Lucky Jack and Riz, if this question makes you uncomfortable, how do you think I feel? I'll probably put I don't know, a little tag or something, a shortcut that if you can click on, if you want to skip past this, Lucky Jack or Riz, if this makes you uncomfortable, click on that and we can skip past this question, because the last thing I want is people to feel uncomfortable. But, so, I love both of these guys. I love Riz and Lucky Jack are probably two of the nicest YouTubers that I have met. I mean, I meet a lot of nice YouTubers online, but I think they're definitely one of the nicest ones of numerous nicest ones that I've met in a while, and I love them both. As far as who would I rather kiss? So let me put some ground rules. So hypothetically, this is completely hypothetical. Hypothetically, if all three of us were single, if all three of us were not seeing anyone, and B, they were comfortable with it. Okay, now that I've established those two things, now I can answer this question. Assuming we're all single, all three of us are single, and they would be comfortable with it, who would I rather kiss? So, if I had to pick which one I thought subjectively was more my type, although they're both very attractive young men, both inside and out. I can't stress that enough. Both of them are very attractive. Riz has I told him this before, he has incredibly beautiful blue eyes, and he's just got this very addictive smile. which I think makes anyone, which a smile makes anyone attractive. That like totally makes someone like at least 20, 30, 40% more attractive just from a nice smile. But if I had to choose which one I was subjectively was more my type, it would actually be Lucky Jack 20. And I think it even goes further than that, because I've known Lucky Jack 20 longer, and we have bonded more over the years. I've hung out with Riz before, but I've hung out with Lucky Jack far more through not only Earthbound but through the Dragon Age RPG campaign, and he and I, he's become one of my very closest friends. Not only one of the nicest people I've met on YouTube, but really one of my very close friends on YouTube, and we've confided in each other. I've confided in him, he's confided in me. We've shared a lot of very personal things with each other. We've really bonded over the years, and he's, I love him to death because of that. I love him to death as a friend. And so if I had to pick between the two, I think that I would be more comfortable kissing Lucky Jack 20 because we've got that closeness, I guess. So, alright, I answered that question. Discomfort out the window now. Let's move on to the next question. Take it as a compliment, Lucky Jack. And Riz too. Would you rather destroy, this is again from Respectable Hat 2343. Respectable Hat 2343 asked the other question. Would you rather destroy all the copies of your favorite game in the world or mass produce your most hated game? I mean, if I had to choose between losing all of my favorite games versus mass producing my most hated game, I would rather mass produce my most hated game, because I don't want to lose anything. At least this one, I'm not really losing stuff, I'm just gaining a lot of stuff that I don't like, but I don't necessarily have to use it. I could, I can mass produce them and burn them, and I would still get to keep, all my favorite copies of my favorite video games. So, there you go. Nom 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 Nation. Would you rather have your favorite TV character come to life and want to kill you, or at least your favorite TV character come to life but they constantly bug/annoy you? Okay. So, having a TV character come to life and want to kill me versus a favorite TV character come to life but constantly bug or annoy me. I like not dying, at least at this young age. I think I'm still at a age where I'd prefer not to die right this moment. So I think that it's fine if my favorite TV character came to life and constantly bugged me. I mean, if it's my favorite character, how much could they bug me? I guess if things went worse comes to worse, I could, get a restraining order if necessary. But again, if it's my favorite TV character, I think it would take a lot to bug me. I think I would have an harder time if they tried to kill me, because if it's my favorite TV character, I would have a harder time defending myself if they tried to kill me. So, yeah. Samuel Diaz, Pikmin308 asks, would you rather be in the world of Mass Effect or Dragon Age? Okay. So so even though I said that video game wise, I do prefer Dragon Age, the video game, versus the Mass Effect video game, in terms of where I would rather live in, I would actually rather live in the Mass Effect world. Why? Because I'm too much of a techie. I like internet. I like running water. I like, because the technology side of things in Dragon Age isn't really nearly. I don't know. I would rather. I like all the high tech, futuristic technologies that are in the Mass Effect universe. Magic would be cool. I feel like I would be a mage if I was in the Dragon Age. But then if I was a mage in Dragon Age, I would be like persecuted or stuck in a circle. Or life as a mage in the Dragon Age universe isn't that great. So, but at least in Mass Effect, I can be like a normal person and still probably have a pretty happy life. If you're a normal person in Dragon Age, I would argue, like, you may not necessarily be as happy. I don't know. I mean, stuff happens in Mass Effect as well, but that's basically what my gut feeling says if I would rather, where I would rather live in, it would be the Mass Effect universe. Shadow Player asks, would you rather have 6 Pokemon in real life or have your video game crush in real life? Well, right now I am engaged, so if my video game love / crush, came, all of a sudden was in real life, that would be a problem. So I would rather that didn't happen. As much as I would love for Alistair to bring up to life, I think we would have some horrible drama, and I don't want to deal with that. I think Alistair's fine where he is, behind the protection of the video game screen. So I would rather, but I mean, also even so, I would probably still rather have 6 Pokemon in real life, because 6 Pokemon is more fantastical. It's like Alistair is a human being. He's a hot human being. This world already has hot human people. It already has that. This world doesn't have talking creatures, talking Pokemon. Well, Pokemon sort of talk. Well, they do. The world doesn't have Pokemon in real life. So, of course, I would probably rather have 6 Pokemon. I think that probably makes the most sense to me. Excessin asks, would you rather have Cassandra or Liliana look disapprovingly at you for 24 hours? I have a soft spot for redheads, as you all know, so I would rather, if either of those two would be looking at me disapprovingly, and that was it, because I know how, stabbity stab Liliana can be. Cassandra can be too, but Liliana is a little bit more subtle, and yeah. So, but if I had to choose between the two, I feel like Liliana's death stare is not as bad as Cassandra's death stare, I think. So that's what I would go. Would you rather, Excessin also asks, would you rather get punched by the Iron Bull or Rex? I feel like if the Iron Bull punched me, he would at least feel bad about it and buy me a drink afterwards. Rex, I don't know. Rex strikes me as someone who may laugh. He would punch me and he would just laugh. Iron Bull might laugh, but he would still feel bad and he would still buy me a drink. So yeah. Bonus question, Excessin. Would you rather ride Iron Bull or Rex into battle? Rex seems a little prickly. If I was riding Rex into the battle, I feel like his skin's so rough. I feel like that wouldn't be very comfortable. Iron Bull, however, at least, his bare-chested body is really smooth, so I would probably ride Iron Bull into battle. Just into battle. That's not a metaphor. Riding into battle, not a metaphor. Okay. Ryan Clemens 1 asks, would you rather live in a world where everything was like a fantasy RPG, leveling magic dragons, or keep the world like it is? See, I wouldn't mind if it was a fantasy world with magic and dragons temporarily, but not forever, because, I don't know. Magic is just opens up a whole nother can of worms. I feel like if I lived in a world of magic, it's so easy to abuse magic that in the long run, I don't know how happy I would be. So I feel like in terms of happiness, pure happiness and content, I would probably much rather keep the world like it is. It might not be as exciting, but I would rather be content and happy than live in excitement. Your mileage may vary. Some people would rather not be complacent and would rather have excitement, adventure. I'm not really that kind of a person. I like being comfortable and happy, and I'm fine with that. So, BBX Terra asks, would you rather drink pumpkin juice or butterbeer? I've had both. So I did have both pumpkin juice and butterbeer in Harry Potter, the Harry Potter theme park in, I believe, Universal Studios Orlando. And I love them both, but I kind of like butterbeer more. So I would rather drink butterbeer. BBX Terra also asks, would you rather live in the Synthesis or Destroy Galaxy in Mass Effect? I think it would be awesome to live in Synthesis. Awesome. Just having the ability to, learn information about races previous to me in the galaxy, people who lived previous in the galaxy. It was so fascinating. It was so neat, and I would just be dead curious to find out what the world would be like if I was half synthetic? Like, what would that be like? I don't know. Just from the tech and science side of me would be like, oh yeah, totally synthesis. Destroy, for me, would be kind of, in my opinion, boring. I don't know. That's so, yeah, I'd rather live in synthesis. I want glowy eyes. I want glowy eyes. Excessin asks, would you rather have Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up or Darude Sandstorm play inside of your head on a constant loop for the rest of your life? Why can I not have both? Why do I have to pick one? Actually, one of my coworkers sent me a link to the Never Gonna Give You Up / Darude Sandstorm mashup, which is awesome. Almost as good as Never Gonna Wake Me Up, which I'm also gonna link because I actually like that more, and it's probably my favorite of all of the mashups with Rick Astley's Gonna Give You Up. But Darude Sandstorm Rick Astley's is awesome. That I wouldn't mind playing in a loop. Both of them mashed up together. But if you wanted me to only pick one, I like Sandstorm more. I like Sandstorm more than Never Gonna Give You Up, and it has a little bit more variety. The song it changes over time, it has a little more variety, so I feel like it would be harder, it would take longer for me to get sick and tired of it, versus, at least compared to Never Gonna Give You Up. BioWare Lovers got me a bunch of things. Oh, no, just a bunch of options. I'm giving you 4 choices to answer. Who would you rather kiss? BioWare Lovers give me 4 choices. Would I rather kiss A, Warren from Life is Strange? By the way, if you haven't noticed, Warren is right over there. I just put him on my wall. He's probably going to be the last person that I'm going to be able to put up on this wall before I move, because I'm actually moving to a new apartment where my fiance and I are going to end up living together once we get married. So that's happening soon, which means I have to reset my wall again, but Warren's probably going to be up there again once I change and move. Anyway, non sequitur. Would I rather kiss A, Warren from Life is Strange, B, Vaughn? Well, Vaughn's over there, but there's also Shirtless Vaughn over there. Shirtless Vaughn is back over there. Would I rather kiss C, Cullen? Cullen's back over there. Cullen's yeah, up there. Or Luke from The Walking Dead, who is right there. Yes, sorry. Luke from The Walking Dead. Let the fun begin. All right, so let's narrow this down by process of elimination. Warren is awesome. I love Warren, but he's the youngest of the 4 because he's in high school. So I feel like out of the 4, I need to kick him out first because he's a little too young for me. Although I consider him cute. I do consider him a cute guy. If he was older, I would probably consider him more of a candidate for this. But if there's ways for me to start narrowing people down, the age difference is going to be what takes Warren out. So now we've got Vaughn, Cullen, and Luke. Oh, this is tough. Vaughn is very adorkable. I have a soft spot for cute nerds. And he's a cute nerd with a really awesome body. But that doesn't necessarily mean he would be a good kisser. I don't know. I don't know if Vaughn would necessarily be a good kisser. He's got a nice body, but if we're just talking about kissing, I feel like Cullen and Luke would probably be better kissers than him. I could be wrong. Not that I could prove that. We're not going to be able to prove that, but I'm just speculating. So I love Vaughn dearly. He is probably my very favorite character in any Telltale games that I've ever played, but if we're talking about kissing, I feel like Cullen and Luke might be better kissers. So Vaughn is out. So now we get to Cullen and Luke. Oh jeez, Cullen and Luke. Between the 2 of them, simply for the fact that Luke is in the Walking Dead universe, I feel like Cullen would be more sanitary. I'm sorry, Luke. I feel like Cullen would smell bad less and would be he probably would have taken more showers than Luke. And it has nothing to do with, I feel bad because it's just Luke can't help the situation. He can't help that he doesn't have hot running water nearby, or that he can, yeah. So I feel like Cullen would be more enjoyable to kiss just because might be a little bit more sanitary, so yeah, sorry Luke. I think I'm going with Cullen for this. It makes sense. It makes sense for me. Alright, so Dylan Duhan asks, this is a dark one. I can't believe Dylan gave me this one. This is dark. Hark, let's say you got into a car accident and you hit and killed someone. Wow. You had to go there, Dylan. You just really had to go there. You have two choices. Would you rather face the guilt of what you've done, or would you rather forget everything about yourself and the people around you to forget what you've done? This one comes from my girlfriend, Bethany, who doesn't have a YouTube channel. Oh, sure. Sure, Dylan. Blame your girlfriend for this. Alright. So, this is an interesting question, because normally I would probably say, oh, I definitely would rather, you know, not have everyone forget about it because it's just gonna haunt me. You know, I would just stay up late at night knowing that I killed someone and know that I got away with it, but everybody else forgot about it. So, and I got off scot-free. But but that's not exactly what he said. What he says is not only does other people forget about it, but you forget about it as well. So there's no guilt because I would not know about it. The only thing that I think would happen is that whoever died, I guess everyone would forget about, like, as if that person didn't exist. So here's how I'm going to answer this question. If I was being completely honest with myself, I would love to be able to say that right off the bat, I would say I would choose to face the guilt of what I've done. But if I was being honest with myself, I think that at least initially, my initial knee-jerk gut feeling would be, oh my gosh, what, like, I can't believe this just happened. I would be horrified. I think that's one of my biggest fears in life is even if it was an accident, like being responsible for somebody's death, like accidentally kill someone, that would be horrifying for me. I would not be able to function. I would probably be in shock. I would probably be like, want the world to open up a giant hole and just disappear in it, because I wouldn't be able to want to deal with it, because it's just such a horrific, that to me would be such a horrific experience. And because it would be such a horrific experience, and because I would probably be in total shock and be panicking, I would probably be panicking, not be myself at all. I think if I was being very truthful to myself, the immediate thing that would pop into my head is I wish that this would just go away. I wish that everyone would forget about it and that I would forget about it. So that would probably be the first thing that I would think. However, having said that, I think that over time, if I was really thinking about these choices, ultimately, I would not want to choose that ultimately, because death is one thing, but being forgotten is a totally different thing. Like, it's one thing if you die, but if people forget you after you die, I think that's worse. That's way worse. I guess a lot of people, there are people who, there's a saying, I guess, don't be afraid of dying, be afraid of being forgotten. Because I think that's worse. So, I guess, even though I would forget about it, if I was given this choice, I would feel, before I made the choice, I would feel too guilty about having a poor victim not only die by my hands, but be forgotten by my hands. I don't think I would bring myself to ultimately choose that. So it would be really hard for me, I think. Because I'd like to believe I'm a good person, but I know that I have weaknesses, and I know I have flaws, and I know I have temptations. I know I'm not perfect, and I mean, I try to be a good person as much as possible, but when Dylan poses this question, I'm thinking to myself, my knee-jerk reaction is not to just face the guilt of what I've done right away. But I'd like to believe, I'm hoping that if this were to happen to me, and I were given, hypothetically, these choices, I would like to hope that ultimately I would feel too bad about having someone die and be forgotten that I would ultimately say, I'd rather just face the guilt of what I've done. So, I think that's about as honest as I can answer that question as possible, Dylan. Would you rather have one friend or 1,000,000 acquaintances? This one's kind of hard. So, in all honesty, I feel like if I had only one friend, I feel like we would drive each other crazy. We would drive each other nuts. So I feel like at least if I had 1,000,000 acquaintances, even if we weren't particularly close, I think I would still be happy enough. Like, maybe I would not have as fulfilling of a relationship. People are saying, I know a lot, this is basically a quality over quantity question, but I think with this specific case, I would probably prefer the variety of friends. I don't know, I just feel like you get having the ability to experience different people. Like, you learn a lot more when you have a million acquaintances versus if you associate with a million people versus one person. If you're only really talking to one person, then you don't have a variety of opinions, you don't have a variety of feelings, you don't have a variety of morals, you don't have a variety of views, and it would be very skewed. So I feel like even if I might not have as fulfilling of or deep of a relationship, I feel like in the long run, I would still have just as fulfilling of an experience with a million acquaintances just because of the variety of people. The variety of people, the variety of thoughts, and the variety of ideas. So yeah, I would rather have a million acquaintances than just one good friend. I think that's what makes sense to me. Dylan has another one. Would you rather go to heaven as soon as you die, or would you rather wait and watch over your loved ones? Well, here's the question. Are we saying that if I stick around, I can eventually go to heaven afterwards? Like, if that's the case, then yeah, I'd rather wait. I mean, if heaven's not going anywhere, and if I'm allowed, assuming I'm allowed to go, I mean, I'm hoping, assuming I'm allowed to go, if I'm, you know, I would probably rather stick around for a little bit if it's not going anywhere and watch my loved ones. And, you know, I think that would be kind of cool. But if the deal is, well, if you stick around, then you might not be able to go to heaven, then I'll be like, peace out. I'll see you guys later. You know, whenever you guys decide to show up here, we'll hang out, I'll buy you a drink. But until then, peace out. So, yeah, that's how I answered that question. A fetish for gaming. You know, I don't need to be a voyeur. I don't need to be a voyeur of my loved ones. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. A fetish for gaming. Would you rather delete your YouTube channel or keep your YouTube channel, but then from then on you can only post videos of you playing Call of Duty? Well, that kind of defeats the purpose. Because I'm supposed to be... My policy is I do YouTube channel because I enjoy it. And I play games because I enjoy it. It kind of defeats the purpose if I'm having a YouTube channel and I am pretty much only posting things that I don't like. So I would rather delete my YouTube channel. Totally. And I mean, I'm not saying that to hurt anybody's feelings, but like, why would I why have a YouTube channel if I'm doing something I don't enjoy? I would rather delete the YouTube channel if that's the only other option. If that's, you know, if there's A versus B, I'd rather delete my YouTube channel and do something else. Because, I mean, I'm the kind of person who likes to keep himself busy. I have a lot of hobbies. There's a lot of things that I can be doing. There's a lot of hobbies that I either want to continue or want to pick up or spend more time with that I was doing even before I even started a YouTube channel. I don't think I'm going to have a shortage of having fulfilling things to do, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If YouTube wasn't in my life, it's not the end of the world. There's other things I know I can be doing instead and can have fun with and have a fulfilling experience. So it's just YouTube happens to be one of many things that I enjoy doing. And it's at this point in my life where, you know, it's taking up a good chunk of my free time, but if I was forced to say goodbye to it, I have plenty of other things I can do as well. It wouldn't be the end of the world. So, yeah, that's my answer. Fetish for gaming, would you rather have saved the life of Doug, Luke, or Ethan in the Game of Thrones? Oh gosh. This is tough. All three of their deaths were horrible. As in, I could not... I was so upset when it happened. And I apologize if there's spoilers, but yeah, I apologize if there's spoilers. But, if I was narrowing this down, Ethan would go first because I feel like if I had to save three of them, The way Ethan died was horrible, but I felt like the way Luke died in my playthrough, because there's two ways that he could have died in the game in Walking Dead. I mean, he dies in the same fashion, but what he does before he dies is dependent on Clementine's choice. So the way that he ended up dying, I felt like was such a waste, because he didn't die as a hero. In my playthrough, he did not die as a hero. So that's one of the reasons why I feel like if I was going to save someone, Luke is a very good candidate for me to save. Doug, however, did die as a hero, but the thing with Doug is, the one thing that I said about Doug is that he's such a unique individual. Like Luke is resourceful, he's relatively smart, he is formidable, and he's a really nice guy. Doug is a really nice guy too, but he's also like the voice of reason. I feel like he's more of a voice of reason. I feel like he's more of an emotional anchor. Don't get me wrong, Luke can be that too, but I think Luke, when push comes to shove, I think Doug is a little bit more, I don't know, morally grounded, slightly, than Luke, a little bit more morally grounded. And Doug is just really intelligent. He's very smart. And Luke's not an idiot, at least in my opinion, he's not an idiot. But there's just so many things about Doug that I think makes him more, I don't want to say special, but I think it just makes him more, he's a rare type of person. Now, granted, you could argue that between the two of them, Doug would probably not survive nearly as long as Luke, so it might be a waste to save Doug. It might be better if I was going to save someone to save Luke, because then he would be able to actually live longer, supposedly, hypothetically speaking, than Doug. And there's the argument of, then if he lived, then he'd be able to take care of Clementine, and then Clementine would not have ended up in that mess with Kenny and Jane. That would have played out completely differently. So that in and of itself. But if you think about it, I think Doug sticking around would also have different things played off with Clementine and Lee. So you could argue the same way. I just feel like between the two of them, I know that in my Kiss Kill Marry, I kept killing off Doug. And I kept choosing Luke over Doug. But that was specifically because of a Kiss Kill Marry, purely physical attraction type of game. This is a little bit different. This is a would I rather save Luke's life or would I rather save Doug's life. So it's a little bit different than would I rather kiss Luke or would I rather kiss Doug, or would I rather marry Luke or would I marry Doug. A little bit different. So for this way, I'm going to say that I would rather save Doug's life because of how rare of a person Doug is compared to Luke. A Fetish for Gaming asks, would you rather have a crossover of The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us, or a crossover of Tales from the Borderlands and Game of Thrones, or a crossover of Dragon Age and Mass Effect? Crossover of The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us would be interesting, but I don't know if I necessarily like that crossover more than the other two. So that one will get, process of elimination, that will get eliminated first. Crossover of Tales from the Borderlands and Game of Thrones, I think would be so interesting. That would be hilarious, because Tales of the Borderlands is so lighthearted and funny, and Game of Thrones is like deep and sometimes depressing. And, one is set in the future, one is set in, medievalish times. Seeing the two of them together crossed over would be amazing. Now, you also get the same thing when you cross over Dragon Age and Mass Effect, because Mass Effect is, like, futuristic and Dragon Age is not, so having them together... But I feel like just from the sheer fact that the feel of Tales from the Borderland is more of a comedic feel, whereas the feel of Game of Thrones is this more of serious feel, that in of itself would be interesting to see how that melts together. I don't know how, I think that would be crazy. However, If it was a video game, if it was a video game that I got to play, I would rather have a crossover of Dragon Age and Mass Effect because, hey, I get to see both universes mashed together of two games that I absolutely love. But if it was just in general, if we're just talking about in general, if I was to watch a show, for example, or, you know, or read a story or play a I guess Telltale games is a game. But I mean, just in general, I think Tales from the Borderlands and Game of Thrones would be so interesting to watch a crossover of. I don't know. So that's how I'm going to answer that question. Tales from the Borderlands and Game of Thrones. Crossover is what I would rather. Dawnforge Cats asks, would you rather play Dragon Age without relationship options or play the Stanley Parable with relationship options? I like relationship options. I wouldn't want to lose relationship options from Dragon Age, and I would love to gain relationship options on any game. So that one's a no-brainer for me. The Stanley Parable with relationship options. I think that would be interesting. I can kind of see it now. Stanley decides to go after the woman. Goes after the blonde woman in the red dress. No, Stanley, why are you going after the short redhead? The short redhead man. Wait, Stanley, I had no idea. I can just see that. Alright, well, Stanley has decided that he has a bit of a preference towards the the male same genders. I don't know. I think that would be hilarious. Somebody needs to do that. Somebody needs to mod that. Dawnforge Cash also asks, would you rather have never had a YouTube channel in exchange for a large nest egg to retire on, or keep your channel but barely scrape by financially? Okay, so again, I like being financially sound. So that to me would be more important. If I had to give up YouTube and be financially sound, especially considering that I'm about to get married and we're planning on having kids and raising a family. You know, it's not for me. Like the nest egg money would not be for me. It would be for my family. It would be for my kids. You know, that's what my priorities are going to have to shift. So I would rather our family was stably sound than I would give up YouTube. And again, if I give up YouTube, there's other things that I can be doing as well. I have other hobbies. I have other interests. And there's interests that I haven't even tried yet that I've always wanted to try, but I just never had the time to. So, as much as I would hate to have to say to have to get rid of my channel, I'll still be happy. I think I still will. It's not going to be. There'll be other things. There'll always be other things that I'll be able to entertain myself with and enrich myself with. Dawnforge Cat's last question is, would you rather wear a neon yellow tuxedo with Chick-fil-A logos all over it to your wedding, but have your wedding paid for? Or wear a traditional tux, but have to go into debt to pay for the wedding? Alright, so first of all, Dawn, or Andrew, you kind of had me immediately at the neon yellow tuxedo, because even without you saying any of the rest of the stuff, I think that a neon yellow tuxedo is pretty darn amazing and pretty darn awesome, and I would totally be rocking that neon yellow tuxedo. I would jump at the chance to wear the tuxedo because it's a yellow neon tuxedo, for goodness sakes. If I had to go between traditional and something a little bit outrageous, for something like that, I would probably go outrageous. But then you continue on and say, neon yellow tuxedo with Chick-fil-A logos all over it, but your wedding would be paid for. Versus having a traditional tux, but you'd have to go into debt to pay for the wedding. So again, I have to think about what's best for the family. And, you know, if I'm trying to make sure that I am a good, stable financially for the family and for the kids and all that good stuff, you know, going into debt is not something that I would want to do. Having my wedding paid for is pretty tempting. The whole thing with the Chick-fil-A logos all over it, I understand the reasoning behind that, because I know that Chick-fil-A as an organization is against gay marriage, which is why I actually think it would be... I think the sheer irony of that would be amusing. The sheer irony that I am going to my own gay wedding with Chick-fil-A logos all over my tuxedo. Like, I don't know. I just feel like the irony would just be pretty darn amusing. And so between the two choices, I would go with the first choice, or neon yellow tuxedo with the Chick-fil-A logos. I don't think anyone in the wedding is going to think that I support Chick-fil-A's views about their views. Well, I shouldn't say Chick-fil-A. It's not, let me just specify this. Chick-fil-A, it's not the people who work at Chick-fil-A. It's not the Chick-fil-A employees who necessarily do not believe in gay marriage. It's the higher ups. It's I guess the owner or the higher executives, or some of them. Probably not even all of them. Probably only certain ones. I personally think it's wrong to demonize. I think it's personally wrong. Let's just say, this is just my personal opinion. I think it's personally wrong to put every single person affiliated with Chick-fil-A, put them in a single box and demonize all of them because of something that the owner of the company happens to believe. I've seen a lot of videos where people are like bullying / bashing employees of Chick-fil-A, and to me, I'm kind of disgusted by that. I don't agree with that. I personally don't go around bashing any of my friends who decide to go to Chick-fil-A. That's just not... I pick my battles. I'm not gonna judge anyone or verbally bash someone because they go to Chick-fil-A. There are other ways to support gay rights without verbally bashing either employees or people who happen to enjoy going to Chick-fil-A. There's, I think, more constructive ways of going about it. A fetish for gaming. Would you rather live in the world of The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, Tales from the Borderlands, Dragon Age, or Mass Effect? Okay, let's narrow this down. Definitely not The Walking Dead, because I would not survive very long. I don't have the personality. I'm not the kind of person who... I'm not the kind of person who would survive. I would die really quickly, so no. Game of Thrones, same thing. I don't know how to play the game in the Game of Thrones. I would die. Because I'm too trustworthy. I feel like people like me aren't meant to live very long in Game of Thrones either. So that's out of the way. Tales from the Borderlands, interesting. Would be cool if I was there just so I could meet Vaughn and even Riz and all the other people. But it seems like too dangerous of a time. So that would be out. So then that brings us to Dragon Age or Mass Effect, which essentially was one of the questions I already answered. I would rather live in the Mass Effect world than Dragon Age. So Mass Effect would be my answer to that. Joseph Furlow. Would you rather be a squire to the Maester or a servant to Caden or Cortez? Well, since the evil sexy Maester is evil, I would rather not be a squire to the Maester. Caden or Cortez? I love both of them, but I do have more of a soft spot for Caden. I like Caden. I love Cortez, don't get me wrong. And Clive Shepard, of course, loves Cortez. But me, the player, me, the person, I have a softer spot for Caden. I do like Caden a little bit more than Cortez. So I would rather be a servant to Caden. Servant to Caden. Okay. Would you rather lick a pride demon or wrestle an Elcor gym teacher? Pride demons, I don't think are very sanitary. I don't think I would want to lick that. Sorry. I would rather wrestle an Elcor gym teacher because Elcors are awesome and I would probably get crushed. But it would be a fun experience. The Canary Show asks, would you rather be reincarnated as Commander Hark Shepard or Warden Commander Hark? So this is a little bit different from would I rather live in the Mass Effect universe or the Dragon Age universe, because it's not. It is me, but it's more specific. It's more Warden Commander versus Commander Shepard. Because ultimately I would probably want to have some resemblance of a... Let's see. The way I'm going to pick this is which game do I feel like has the character that I would be most interested in romancing. And to be very honest, there are way more characters in the Dragon Age universe that I would be interested in romancing than in the Mass Effect universe, to be perfectly honest. More people in the Dragon Age universe I would be more interested in romancing. So, because of that, I would rather be reincarnated as Warden Commander Hark, and maybe would meet Alistair during my adventures and find out he kind of was, you know, curious. Maybe a little bisexual, which I still think Alistair is a closeted bisexual. That's just me personally. I don't know if that's necessarily wishful thinking, but I don't know, he gives off that vibe. But if not, hopefully Sir Rory Gilmore might be around for me as well. Again, I'm not a Zevron fan. I'm not a big Zevron fan. Zevron and I would be friends, but I would probably be more interested in Alistair or Sir Gilmore if he was around. So, but I can see Alistair as pansexual. Alistair could be pansexual too. That's true. I could see that. So maybe I'd still have a chance. I'd still have a chance. Carlo Angelo asks, let's say Dragon Age 4 is already in development. Would you rather, he's giving me 3 of them, A, have the game be set in Tevinter and see the society there firsthand, instead of relying on a second-hand source of information like Fenris and Dorian, because Tevinter I think is an awesome place that we have yet to explore. B, the game be more focused on unraveling some secrets of the Qunari, since some of Kieran's dialogue, if you talk to him as Qunari, seems to indicate a certain of something about the Qunari race. I would probably choose Tevinter because I love the Qunari, but I'm more, in terms of topics that I'm more interested in, I'm more interested in mages than I am with the Qunari. And Tevinter is pretty much like a mageocracy, and it would be really cool for me to learn more about that. So I would rather have it set in Tevinter. The second would you rather? Again, if Dragon Age 4 is already in development, would you rather a new companion? He's human, he's a warrior class, he's very attractive, tall, charming, funny, and good-natured. He's your near-class example of a knight in shining armor archetype, and he's a romance options for male players. Or Cullen and Varric returned as playable companions, but neither are romance options. This one's easy. A, I love Varric and Cullen, but if they're straight, they're straight. Let them be straight. If there is a awesome character, warrior class attractive, tall, funny, good-natured, and he's a romance option for males, heck yeah. In a heartbeat, I'd choose that. In a heartbeat, yes, absolutely. If Cullen and Varric were romance options, then it would hands down be B. But if they're not romance options, hands down A. Absolutely. And then the last one, again, Carlo Angelo asks, let's say Dragon Age 4 is already in development, would you rather have new customization option to adjust body size, not height, like you could in The Sims? That would be really cool. Or instead of just choosing between American and English accents, you have a choice among Elysian and Antivan as well. Personally, I would prefer the accents. I just think it would be really cool to have, because I feel like I would probably want to make multiple playthroughs and multiple characters, and it would be kind of jarring if my multiple characters, you know, after I've made the second one, if the third or fourth character that I made sounded exactly like the other ones, because I can always make them look completely different without changing the body size or height. I can make them look extravagantly different. But if I made a third or fourth one and there were only 2 voice options, I can't make them sound different. So having the ability to have an Orlean and even accent as well as English and American would be something I would rather have for that very reason. Cosmic Llama asks, would you rather date Ian or Mark in real life? This is interesting because Ian and Mark from these are 2 pictures. Mjark from Coming Out on Top is the question. So from a purely physical standpoint, Mark is more my type. I like guys who have shorter hair, but it works on Ian. The thing is, the shaggier hair works on Ian, but traditionally, Mark is more physically my type. However, I would probably still rather date Ian in real life because Mark and I think, are too much alike. And that's only because I was trying to roleplay Mark like myself. And because I've roleplayed Mark like myself, we're too much alike. I feel like with Ian, I would rather date someone that was not exactly like me, but still we had enough in common. The important things that were in common would be in common, and I feel like with Ian we might have that, and he can be a big goofball and he can be totally bro, but when it comes down to it, the man has a really good heart, and he's funny and he's charming, and I mean, Mark is sweet, but again, the thing that Ian has about him that Mark doesn't have is we're different, and I think that would make a more fulfilling relationship. So I would rather, even though I feel like I'm more physically attractive to Mark, Ian is probably the person that I would rather date. Jamie Esparza, would you rather live in the Dragon Age universe or Mass Effect universe? I already answered this one, and it's Mass Effect. You pick the timeline and the endings of your play through. I'm sorry if it doesn't make sense. I think I answered this one already, but I'll answer it again. Mass Effect, synthesis ending. Helena Ka, would you rather eat a living crab or would you rather it eats you? I'd rather not die right now, so I'd rather eat a living crab. I've eaten living things before, so I'm a foodie. So of course I'm gonna rather choose the food option, the eating option. Eating a living crab would not faze me. Having a crab eat me, that might faze me a little bit. Zevanster13, would you rather live in real life or in a virtual world? Do I have control over the virtual world? Here's the question: whether, even if it wasn't real, but if you could live out your fantasy life, like your perfect life, would you do it if you're happy? Because isn't that what all matters, whether or not you're happy? Does it have to be real necessarily? Could you just, I don't know. Would you rather live in the real life or in a virtual world? I don't know. How permanent? Forever? Would I rather live in a virtual world forever but be able to choose? I don't know. This is a hard one. Because I think the moral question is to say, of course I would live in the real life world. Of course I would, because the virtual world is fake. But if the virtual world was fake but you are still enjoying it and you're happy, does that necessarily mean your life was less fulfilling because you believed something was actually real but it's not? Is it less fulfilling? I don't know. The sci-fi techie kind guy in me. Real life is hard, guys. Real life is hard, and real life, there's issues and depression and horrible things. There's scary things that happens in real life. So I don't know. I'm gonna surprise myself and say virtual world, because if in the virtual world, assuming you have control over it and you can give yourself, make yourself happy, it might be fake, but you're happy. Isn't that enough? Some people might argue, no, that's not enough. You should just live in the real world. But I don't know. You asked me the question, and that's my answer. I'm surprised myself for saying it, but yeah, if I had to choose between the two, probably the virtual world. Judge me if you want, I guess, but I'm just trying to answer these questions as honestly as I can. Now, that might change later in life. Later on in life I might change that, but for right now, that's what I'm sort of feeling at the moment, which is, again, kind of scary for me, surprising for me.